What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel, and welcome back to quarterfinals of UNPL Pokemon Draft League. This week we take on Tone, the coach of the Miami Palafins, and he is going to put up quite a fight because he is the #1 seed overall in this league, and I think he wants to keep it that way. But before we jump into it, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, before we jump into it, I'm going to do a quick team builder, but of course, if you want to skip ahead, there will be timestamps down below. Now, Tone did actually take his mascot in Palafin, which makes this a Palafin mirror match. He actually also has Glamora, which would have been a mirror match if I hadn't dropped Glamora earlier in the season. But he is, like I said, the #1 seed overall in the entire tournament, which is crazy. He played so well this season and just piloted his team very, very well. And yeah, he absolutely deserves props for that. Make sure to, of course, check him out down in the description. And of course, it will be linked in the title of this video as well. But looking at his team, he's also got Treads, which we've taken before. Treads is fantastic, really great spinner, great offensive mon. It can be physical or special. It gets a lot of great moves. Necrozma plus Spectrier, of course, we lost to that combination super hard week 1 in this league, just to the other side. So that's a really nasty combo for us. Clefable, super strong, bulky mon, could be either unaware or it could be magic guard. Either way, that's really strong, very difficult to deal with. Chestnut definitely could be an option here, definitely a really good Palafin check, so definitely need to be watching out for that. Oricorio with Terra, maybe if it's Terra Water to give him another water resistance, I don't know. Persian with the Alolan form, I think that this actually isn't bad either because of Fur Coat. This thing gets quite bulky and it's also really fast, so I don't know if there's potential there for sure. And then Electric and Pignite, which I don't think either one of those are coming to this match. So yeah, this team that I am facing this week does not like rain. I don't know if you can see his water resistances, but they are Palafin and they are Chestnut, both of which still don't appreciate hits from KINGDRA. And so our goal this week basically is just to set rain and get KINGDRA in and click water moves. That's the entire plan. Is that a very basic plan? Is it just a not very well thought out plan? Sure, but I just don't know what his team does against rain here. But I'm sure he's gonna bring some crazy stuff and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. But let's go ahead and see what I'm bringing this week. Let's start off, of course, with KINGDRA. Like what I said, we are bringing Mystic Water this week with Max Speed Timid. This is interesting. I normally would bring Specs into a situation like this, but the issue is that I don't want to lock myself into one of my 3 water moves. I want to be able to switch them around based on the calc, right? I've got Hydro Pump for if I need a lot of extra damage, Weather Ball if I need a lot of damage but I need it to hit, and then I've got Scald for if I don't necessarily need the damage, but I can catch something coming in and possibly get a burn. So all 3 of those serve a different purpose. I don't have a dragon move this week because I just don't need one. And then Hurricane is there at the end in order to deal with Chestnut. So basically Palafin's the only resisted mon that comes in on this. And that's again why we have Scald this week. With Terra Water, we are just clicking all kinds of moves and dealing a lot of damage. The reason we're max speed this week and that we don't have any bulk is because if he is Scarfed Horse with max speed, he actually can outrun this. And so I have to force him to do that or else KINGDRA is faster. So basically that's kind of the gist here. Otherwise, I would love to run Modest, but then even Persian Alola could actually outspeed me if it's Scarfed. So that's why I'm scared of doing that. That's why we went with Timid. So yeah, that kind of explains that. Next up, Palafin, another Rain Abuser, another water type. We're bringing Adamant Choice Band, just trying to hit as hard as we can. Jet Punch, Wave Crash, Ice Punch, and Flip Turn. Almost had Zen Headbutt instead of Ice Punch, but Ice Punch gives me a little bit better of a matchup, so that gives me something to hit Chestnut with. But I mean, this really isn't my Chestnut check at all. This wants to deal with everything else. So that's kind of the gist of that. Then Sableye, very standard Sableye. I'm not bringing any kind of crazy heat this week on Sableye, but I am bringing manual Rain Dance here just in case the later Pelipper does go down. This gives me a backup strat, and so yeah, I've got to make sure that Rain stays up this whole match in order to make sure that KINGDRA is going fast, make sure it's dealing extra damage, all that good stuff. So very important. Plus screens helps me to be able to deal with things like the Necrozma, helps me to deal with Spectrier, because otherwise Spectrier can really get out of control, and I've got to be super careful playing around that, or else I am in a lot of trouble. Next up, Toxicroak. Toxicroak I thought was a really fun bring here. It gives me a grounded poison type so that I don't have to worry about toxic debris nearly as much from the possible Glamora bring. It also gives me Sucker Punch, which helps me to deal with the horse if it happens to go for like an agility. It helps me to deal with Dragon Dancing Necrozma, so that could be a thing. And then we've got CC and Poison Jab just for coverage there. We've got a lot of speed there, but mostly just hitting as hard as we can with the attack moves, and possibly get a Sword Stance off. We'll see. I'm not super, you know, excited that this thing is going to go wild. It also gives me a water immunity, so I can always switch this in on a Jet Punch or something from Palafin and heal it up if I need to, so that's nice as well. Next up, Pelipper. Of course, this is very standard Pelipper. Again, max defense, helps me to deal with Chestnut, helps me to deal with the Palafin, that kind of thing, and be able to get this in pretty freely in order to set Rain back up. We've got Weather Ball, Hurricane, Roost, and U-Turn. That's pretty much all that I need. Weather Ball, of course, is a really good hard hitting move. I don't have to risk going for Hydro on this because ultimately it's not a crazy damage dealer, and Hurricane is of course going to do a million to any Chestnut that wants to come in. And finally, Barrascuda. We are running Choice Band here, and actually max HP, max attack. Even if he brings Scarfed Horse, I'm still going to outrun it when I am in Rain. If he's Agility, then he outruns me, but at that point I have Sucker Punch Toxicroak that eventually could outdo it, so I'm fine there. Probably just going to be clicking Liquidation every time, but we also have Close Combat, Psychic Fangs, and Flip Turn. So that is our team for this week. I hope you guys are looking forward to this quarterfinals match. I am very much looking forward to seeing just how this will go. I haven't brought this hard of a Rain team all season, and I want to see how it'll do. So let's go ahead and join up, and we'll find out. So here we are in team preview, and you're gonna notice me choosing things pretty quick here. That's actually because we had a couple of DCs starting off here, and so I wanted to just go ahead and tell you these first few turns are going to go by pretty quick because they happened a couple of times. But we're basically going to lead with Palafin, and this was our plan from the beginning, was to just lead this, get it activated, and depending on what we see as a lead would depend on whether or not we click Flip Turn or what it is that we do. If we see opposing Palafin, we Flip Turn because we are going to be slower than the opposing Palafin. But if we see Tusk, then we do not want to stay in, or Treads rather. We do not want to stay in because this thing could have an electric move. So basically the switch that I'm going to go into here is the Spadef Sableye, which is generally going to be pretty free here. I can take pretty much any hit from a special Treads, and so he does go for that Bolt Switch as we thought. I don't want to take a bunch of unnecessary damage on Palafin because the damage on Treads is not worth it, considering that I have so much other water damage I can deal later in the match. It's not worth it. So yeah, he goes ahead and goes into his Spectrier, and we are starting off very strong. He's actually Air Balloon here, which is for the Tusk for sure, because I mean, you think about it, if he's got Air Balloon, that gets him immune to the ground move, and then he's also a Ghost, which makes him immune to the fighting move. We actually get a crit there, but it still lives, which is insane. Yeah, in the original go, it didn't actually crit there, but you know, it's not going to end up mattering in the long run, and you'll see what I mean by that. So that is a little unfortunate. We do get the light screen off here though, and that is going to allow us to live at least one more turn, and that way we can also get off a Rain Dance and just start bashing with the KINGDRA, which is great. So I'll go ahead and click the Rain Dance here. And so here's another difference with the original battle, is that On this turn in the original battle, I actually did not go down here, whereas this time the Spectre did a little bit of extra damage, and so I did. That actually works out more so in my favor than Tone's, because that was one less turn of screens and one less turn of rain that I got to enjoy and use. So that definitely did not help Tone at all there. So I really do apologize for those early DCs. That was really sucky, and so that turn of events was really unfortunate. But like I said, the knockoff crit's not going to end up mattering, which is good. And then we go ahead and are going to Terra and click the Scald. And at this point, we're caught up. This is as far as we made it before things DC'd, so things are going to slow down a little bit here. So just wanted to let you know those turns are going to go quick because we weren't really thinking about our plays, and now we are. So I go ahead and Terra, and I'm going to click Scald here. I don't need the extra damage on the horse if he stayed in, and then if he wants to switch, I might as well hit something that is going to hit and has a chance for a secondary effect. So we go ahead and click that Scald, and it burns immediately, which is super clutch for us. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the Palafin being burned is absolutely massive, because obviously this thing is really here to deal a lot of physical damage, and when you get burned, that's cut in half, and that really sucks. But that's kind of what Scald is meant to do, is there to burn. So that's why we brought it this week, is for that possibility. So it did work out in this case to give us that burn. I don't have any reason to click anything else here, even though Hydro might KO here. I don't know that it's necessarily worth it. I can go for it, and if I miss, then it's fine. We're going to go ahead and click it. If I miss, whatever. There's not really a whole lot that he can do here. He stays in, which lets me get off a little bit more damage, which is a really good play on his part, because that means that whatever he wants to go into is not going to take a bunch of unnecessary damage. So the flip turn there makes total sense to me, because otherwise something else was going to take a big hit for no reason. So absolutely was the right play, even though it means a lot of extra damage on your Palafin. So yeah, and now he gets to choose what he wants to go into here, and KINGDRA is kind of sitting pretty. Mystic Water plus the Terra Water plus the Rain, it's just so many multipliers all stacking on top of each other here, and it's really difficult to deal with. It's really difficult to deal with here, unfortunately. So yeah, he's going to be thinking about this for a good while, which makes sense. And so at this point, though, what I'm thinking back on is I should have just clicked Scald again. One, because it makes it a little bit better for, if he had swapped out, I could have burned something. But it also could make him possibly think that I was Specs, which would have drawn in the Chestnut, and then I could switch moves and go for the Hurricane as a surprise. But I didn't do that, so I revealed that I was not Specs, and that's completely on me. So, unfortunate, that's my fault, and it is what it is. Now we got this bird, and this bird is, honestly, I don't know what this thing's going to do to me, and I'm kind of scared. I never expected this to come here. I mean, if it's going to come, it's going to be Terra Water for sure, and it does actually take a hit from KINGDRA, and I actually, if it has some bulk, I actually have to hit 2 Hydros in order to KO it, because Weather Ball actually has a chance to not 2-hit KO if he's max HP. He doesn't even need Spadef investment after he goes for a Quiver Dance. So yeah, it actually is a little bulkier than what I expected it to be if he's got the proper investment. So we hit another Hydro Pump, which is wild, and this deals a lot, which tells me he is not max HP, he is not bulky, he is completely offensive, or if he does have some bulk, it's not enough. But this also frees me up to not necessarily have to click the Hydro Pump. But the tough thing is that we have Weather Ball as our backup water move instead of Surf, and the problem with that is that the Chestnut is actually immune to Weather Ball due to the bulletproof ability. So I've got to be careful about clicking that while that is still around, otherwise it's a free switch in. So I choose to actually just go for another Hydro Pump, and we hit another one, which is insane, and we are able to 2-shot this Oricorio, which is fantastic. So Terra Captain is gone, and really didn't do anything, which is great for us. So KINGDRA is here, and now it is no longer raining. So KINGDRA is now very sad, and we want to make sure that KINGDRA is happy because it is kind of the star of our show here. All season, KINGDRA has kind of been kind of mid for us. Like, it's been fine, but there have been plenty of weeks where I just haven't brought it, and I just haven't had a reason to do anything with it. But I wanted it to really shine here, and I felt like this was the time, just when it's raining. So I got to get out of here for now with KINGDRA until we can get set back up. But yeah, we're going to get out of here. And of course, this horse is going to be able to do whatever it wants to do. Worst case scenario, he clicks sub here, and then I'm in a really bad spot if he had clicked sub right there. Luckily, he just goes for Shadow Ball, which is fine with us. We take that pretty well. So I'm going to click Sucker here. I clicked that way too fast. I should have thought about that for about half a second, because if he went for sub here, I'm in a bad spot. Because then he can just kind of outplay around me, which could be really bad. If he was sub plot, then I'm in big trouble. That could have been a really bad misplay on my part, because then I basically have to sack this plus Pelipper in order to get everything back around. And then I have to sack Barraskewda to be faster than it to break the sub, or Palafin with the Jet Punch. No matter what, that horse could have taken like 2 or 3 KOs there. And that would have been really, really bad if he was subplot in that case. Luckily, that's not what he went for, and so we avoid that situation. But yeah, he goes into the Chestnut here, which absolutely can take basically anything we want to go for. It doesn't matter if that thing's a grass type and we're poison type. This thing is bulky on that physical side, so definitely can take a hit from us. I don't think staying in and clicking the poison jab is the right play here. Not at all, actually. So we are going to get out. And it's pretty free for us to go into Nigel here, our Pelipper. We are fully physically defensive. Even if he wants to go for a grass move, we can take that pretty well. We actually can take 2. And so yeah, he goes for that Wood Hammer, and we can take 2, which is great news. Absolutely fantastic to know that we can do that. And he definitely cannot stay in on a possible Hurricane, so I don't think he wants to stay in here at all. So U-turn is absolutely my play here, as he does switch out. Fantastic. So we get to see what his switch into the Hurricane was, and it actually is his really low Palafin, so he actually was going to sack this, which makes complete sense to me. But we click U-turn, and that gets KINGDRA back in for free, and KINGDRA gets to click some more buttons. Yeah, there's just not a whole lot that can take a hit from this KINGDRA, and it's wild. It's wild. The Terra Water just boosts our power even more, and just the combination of all of the different multipliers that we are adding in this case is just wild. So I go ahead and click the Scald here. I don't need to worry about going for some kind of big damaging move. I don't have to worry about any of that. I don't want to click Weather Ball just yet in case he goes into Chestnut. And in fairness, he could go Chestnut, but then what's he going to do? He takes a Hurricane and then goes down. So that's not really great, because you only get by with 1 turn there. But either way, I think just staying in here, clicking Scald, he goes for Jet Punch, which is rain boosted and does an okay amount of damage. It does, you know, a few percentages, but we go ahead and click Scald and take this out. And that is one of his water resists gone, and one of his biggest threats out of the way, which is just wild. This team, you know, I drafted KINGDRA, but I also am really good into KINGDRA, or I drafted Palafin rather, and I'm really good into Palafin, and so it's really difficult in this case for Palafin to really get any kind of headroom here. Just because I have so many water types that resist its big hitting moves. So that's kind of tough. He then goes into the Treads here, and this Treads, I'm like, okay, he led with this, so it's possible that he might be like Sash lead. It's entirely possible that he's Sash lead here, and if that ends up being the case, and I have to take a big hit, that could be a problem. That could be a big issue. So I'm kind of concerned. I don't know what he wants to go for, because then it's either Volt Switch He could even have like a Thunderbolt. This thing also gets Thunder. He could hit a big electric move. Thunder makes a lot of sense coming into a rain matchup, right? So, you know, why wouldn't he? And so I'm like, you know what? I think we've just kind of got to risk it for the biscuit, and just kind of go for it. And so at the last second, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go for Scald, and this will deal a lot of damage. It might burn, but it actually just ends up straight KOing, which is insane. And it actually turns out that he was Assault Vest with a lot of SPDEF investment, and it still KO'd, which is just wild to me. Just how much damage that thing does. He then goes into his Chestnut, which of course is Hurricane food. So yeah, I click that, don't really have to think about it, and there's no way this lives. He's bulky, he's bulky on the physical side. He's not going to take this at all. Even if he was SPDEF, even if he was AV, I don't think there's any world in which this thing takes that. 4 times effective Hurricane, it's always going to go down. So KINGDRA claims another KO there, and it is just wild how strong KINGDRA is in this matchup. I've been saying it all season, just how KINGDRA, I don't know, its stats are pretty unimpressive, but for some reason it just works. It just works. And so then the Scald is going to take out the horse, and that's 5 KOs for KINGDRA so far. But yeah, it punches so far above its weight class. It doesn't make any sense as to why this thing is so effective at what it does, especially in the rain. And finally, we have Necrozma. And I'm like, okay, I'm far enough ahead to where I can probably risk a Hydro Pump, but I'm not gonna, blow it on something. So we'll just go for the safe Weather Ball and just click that. It's gonna deal a lot, and it almost KOs. And he actually clicks the Trick Room here, which is a crazy play, and that's insane. That's absolutely wild. And so now I'm slower. I'm way slower. He clicks the Photon Guys, and I'm like, okay, well, this goes down. We clean up, and it lives on 9. KINGDRA lives on 9 HP, gets off another Weather Ball, and we are going to take it home with KINGDRA. Oh my gosh, all 6 KOs going to KINGDRA in this matchup for a 5-0 victory. Really, really great matchup. Again, with Tone, I fully recognize that some of the turns there early with the run back did not go as they initially did, and I apologize for that. I definitely never wanted that to happen, but like I said, the crit on Spectre didn't matter because we ended up hitting it with Scald in the rain anyway at the end, so that extra HP that it would have had wouldn't have saved it. I would have just clicked Weather Ball instead to guarantee the KO, so that didn't matter. The only thing was KINGDRA got to do a lot more work earlier in the game, and so if I hadn't had that extra turn of rain, maybe Oricorio would have had a chance to do something. I don't know, but that's really the only way that I can see it going a little bit differently. Besides that, I think everything was pretty much the same. But yeah, we are going to semifinals, and again, I don't know who I am facing this week. I will just have to see how some of the other matches go, and then we will go from there. But thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for supporting this channel, and I am so pumped about this. And I hope you guys checked out yesterday's video as well. I joined another new draft league, and man, it's absolutely wild. Some great things are happening, and I'm so glad that you all are here for the ride. Until next time, stay safe out there, stay healthy. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.